Emilee Smarr, the host of In the Making. Welcome to our debut episode, and thank you so much for joining us. Each week we are going to be coming here and joining together to talk about some of your favorite drivers in the USF Pro Championships, joined by some stars in football, basketball, baseball, soccer, you name it. We're here to talk about how all of these athletes are here to come together and all have the same common goal of joining the top of their sport, even though they might be a little bit different. So we are so excited to get started here today. We have an awesome panel of guests, but first we have some news for you. So we are actually 50 days out, less than that, from our first race that is going to take place in St. Pete. The first opportunity for these drivers to come in and take first place, second, whatever that may be. So excited to see how they do here. And we have over 30 drivers that are actually confirmed for the USF Pro Series. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts, where we will be updating you on the latest and greatest information on USF Pro Championships this season. And if you are wondering about all of these fun and exciting things behind me, we have quite the set here. If you're wondering about my experience with any of these objects, my experience pretty much extends to talking about the people who use them. I'm regularly a reporter for the Palm Beach Post. I cover high school sports, so I spend every single day working with athletes from the ground up, and that's why I'm so excited about this In the Making show. Rarely do you ever get to see athletes before they have actually made it to the top of their craft, but here we're actually going to be talking to so many athletes who are trying to carve their paths in the next era of their sport. So that leads us to our next segment, which is going to be a roundtable featuring 3 very interesting athletes. So the first name that we have on the list, one and only Lindsay Brewer, the only female driver in the USF Pro 2000 Championships. She actually has 1.9 million followers on Instagram, one of the most followed drivers in the sport. She started racing at 11 in competitive karting, and she just had her debut run in the series last year, competing in 4 events, and is experiencing her first full season in 2023. Thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay. It's great to have you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here, and thanks for the introduction.
Absolutely, and that turns us over to our next guest. We have none other than Peter Dempsey, a former Indy Next Lights driver who is now the owner of Turn 3 Motorsports. He won the 2013 Freedom 100 in a 4-wide finish by 26 thousandths of a second, the closest oval finish in Indianapolis Motor Speedway history. In Turn 3, his latest team actually had a podium win and or pole at 7 of 9 USFPC events in 2022. Thank you so much for joining us, Peter. It's awesome to have you here today.
No problem. Pleasure to be with such a fantastic group, and excited to have a chat here with you today.
Absolutely. And last but not least, it is so jolly to have the one and only Patrick Jolly here with us today. He is a defensive back at Abilene Christian. He was 24/7's number 142 prospect in the state of Florida and the 75th ranked athlete in the nation when he was coming out of his recruiting class. He spent 4 years at UCLA and most recently transferred to Abilene Christian in 2022, where he posted 28 tackles and 2 interceptions. It's so great to have you with us, Patrick.
Hey, how's it going? It's nice to be here. Thank y'all for this, and I'm just excited to talk about more about with this sport, what we have in common.
Let's start with some questions. I think first I want to get to Lindsay, because ladies first. So let's talk a little bit about that in general. What obstacles have you had to overcome being the only woman in this industry? And also, you're pretty early in your career too, so what's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely been quite a journey, starting from go-karts at 11. I had to take 4 years off for college and funding, and then to get back into the sport is my first full season this year. It's definitely a journey. I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword being a woman in the sport, because obviously you get a bit more opportunities. I was able to accumulate my following over the past few years, so of course that helps with sponsorship. But then on the other hand, people don't take you as seriously. You kind of have a bit of a target on your back. No one wants to be beat by a girl. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword for sure, but it's been a great journey.
So, what is that feeling for you when you are a girl and you do get to come out here and beat these guys, you know?
I mean, it's been awesome. Last year, like you said, was my first year driving in this, I guess, pro division, and it was a very big step up from any of the cars I've driven before. Very physical, as the other USF Pro 2000 drivers know. A lot of downforce. So I think my biggest challenge was just the physical aspect of it. I wasn't physically prepared. I didn't train hard enough, and that's definitely something that's changed this off season. And been doing a lot of training, a lot of testing, a lot of sim time. Definitely ready to go for next year. So I think as a woman, I kind of try not to think about it when I'm on the track. Like once I put the helmet on, I really do I don't feel like a girl or a guy or anything. I just feel like a driver, and I just try to do the best I can do. But in the back of your head, of course, when you're around the paddock and you hear some things, like there's always going to be people that talk, and you just kind of have to put that behind you.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I think that's a great time to kind of turn it over to Peter. Obviously, the physical preparation is a little bit lesser for you now because you are actually a team owner. So tell me a little bit about what it's like to kind of have both sides of the coin here. You know, you have experience as a driver in one of the most historic races in history, and your experience also as a team owner. What's the difference been like there for you?
Oh, it's obviously I came to the US to have a career as a professional race car driver, and you got to Indy next level, just short of IndyCar. And it's been my racing journey has been huge, learning experience at all different levels of, from a driver from all different categories to then being a race engineer, driver, coach, and then make that step to team ownership. I've got to see it from all different angles, and I really feel with my life experiences, I can really relate that information and experience to my drivers and help them develop at a higher rate. And so far, so good. The team has had a successful couple of years.
And what has it been like, for you trying to relate to these younger drivers? Because obviously you have had the same experiences on the track, but things are a little bit different for them because now they have social media presences. So how much does that play into your role as an owner, and what challenges have you kind of had to overcome with them, that you didn't necessarily expect with this age of social media?
Yeah, I mean, when I stopped racing in 2013, your social media platform was just starting to really grow. And, my wife who helps me run the business, into college for, PR and marketing. So with her guidance, we're in a great position to be able to help our drivers, make sure they're putting the right promotional stuff out there on their feeds and not saying stuff they shouldn't. Sometimes you gotta hold them back a little bit from what they want to say, because obviously they are representing their own brand and sponsors and series. So it's very important to make sure that they present themselves in the right way.
And I think that now that makes a great segue for a question here to Patrick. How much have you seen the role of social media play, coming through here in the transfer portal especially, and name, image, and likeness deals coming into play here for college athletes? What has the role of social media been like for you these last few years?
It's played a big and hefty role. I mean, especially with now how big social media and how big especially Twitter and stuff like that. There's a lot of opportunities for, big guys to get in touch with other guys. And it's really created this kind of thing where, now you sometimes, instead of, some athletes like choosing a school based upon, if they, like the atmosphere or the coaches or something like that. A lot of times with the NIL deals, sometimes it'll be about more so like the money and how much, they'll probably get from this deal, So it's definitely been a whole shift in how the recruit thing has gone. And, especially for the high schools that are coming up and are just getting into the recruiting process, it's definitely going to be, I think, in my opinion, a lot tougher, to get in positions where I'm in currently.
Absolutely. And, just from the perspective of, you're here, and how many years do you have left with Abilene?
I have one more year.
You have one more year left. So how much do you think that potentially getting an NIL deal will play into your last year here at Abilene as well? if you don't have a career at the next level, these NIL deals are great opportunities to make sure that you guys are financially secure coming up. So how much are you going to be doing social media wise to make sure that you can potentially secure some of those and network before you graduate?
Yeah, that's actually been a big thing. I've actually been working on. Actually, I am gonna start getting in touch, with some of my coaches and people that do work as some staff at the school and try to work something out. I majored back at UCLA. I majored in sociology, and I'm currently doing conflict resolution. So I don't know. I'm kind of like more so in the path of like social work and stuff like that. So I think it's having some kind of field where I can bring more people together. I think that'll be a big thing for me to, whether my next step is, the NFL or, afterwards, I think that's a big, stepping stone for me to like make sure my future is bright.
Absolutely. And Lindsay, I want to turn this question over to you here. You actually do have some really good sponsorships right now. You have C4, correct?
Yes. Yeah, C4 Energy. They've been an awesome sponsor. They came on to the tail end of last season, and they're going to be working with me for this full season. So super grateful to be working with them. Exclusive Autosport, of course, the best team, in my opinion, right now. And I think they do a great job. So I'm super excited to be moving forward with them this year.
Absolutely. So I have a question because I have used C4 before, and I'm assuming that as a C4 sponsor, you also use C4.
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
Do you get the tinglies? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You don't get the tinglies?
So, well, I'm actually an ambassador for their Smart Energy line, and it has Cognizant. So it's not as much of a pre-workout. So you say it's more meant for like mental clarity, mental focus, which is very important in racing, as everyone knows. And you're going so fast, like a little mistake here can cost you an injury or a lot of money. So I think you just have to be super focused. So I don't drink the kinds of energy drinks that give me a lot of tingly or like super jittery. I feel really good on it. It's a great fit.
No, good. Glad to hear that it is working for you.
So you should try it. It's actually very good tasting too.
No, good. I mean, I feel like it's probably good to have mental clarity for interviews like these where you have 3 people in front of you. Let's turn this on over to Peter. How much have sponsorships kind of come into your role as a team owner here? What is that like for you, setting your young athletes up with sponsorships, and how hard is it to get a sponsorship in today's era with social media playing such a big part?
Yeah, I mean, right now I think it's, the economy is good, and being able to use social media to build your brand has been huge. So, as a team, it's very important for us to, sell our team as a brand, and to be able to, use IndyCar as a platform to promote ourselves. The IndyCar series been such a major series in the US as a sport in general, and selling the Indy 500. Really, our drivers, like Lindsay, use the IndyCar platform to promote yourself in the series, and that's able to bring companies in at a smaller level, where it gives them the opportunity to deal with major companies that are involved in the higher level series, and it can be a B2C or a B2B level, and you can build those relationships, and all of a sudden you're in a position to raise the money through growing that sponsorship and the partnership to allow drivers like Lindsay get to the next level of Indy Next, or hopefully IndyCar one day.
And can you tell me a little bit about maybe the most interesting sponsorship that you have going for one of your drivers right now, or one that was brought to you that you were kind of like, okay, we can't do this?
Yeah, no, fortunately I haven't had one that we haven't been able to use, but I'm not in a position to announce our sponsor for the 2023 season probably until another week, unfortunately, but it's going to be a very exciting sponsor with one of our drivers. So we're looking forward to being in a position to announce that. As a driver, I've had sponsorship. Harley Davidson was one of my main sponsorships for one season in Indy Next, and obviously a major company like that was phenomenal to work with and a great experience. So thankfully nothing too crazy has been on the cars over the years.
No, yeah, that's awesome. Just getting ready for a season. I'm extremely ready to hear what sponsorship you guys have lined up. So speaking of getting ready for seasons, let's talk to Patrick about what it is like getting ready for a season of college football and how that may be similar to the preparation that racing drivers may face for USF Pro Championships.
Right. So yeah. So I'm right in the beginning of it right now in January. So it's like right after the season. So right now it's just really just heavy weightlifting in the weight room every day. Running every other day, and really that goes on until about, I would say, March, and that's when we have spring ball. So it's basically like a pre-sequel of like what the season will look like. So that'll be more so us like on the field with our pads on, our helmets on, and running around doing the regular thing we would do during regular season.
And so sorry. No, continue.
No, I was.
So one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, I thought it was interesting that Lindsay said this earlier, and you guys can both speak to this, start a conversation here. How much does mental preparation go into your respective sports, and what are those things that you do to really make sure that you can zone in and focus and perform at your best mentally?
You want me to start, or do you want to go?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, for me, I guess mental clarity and, being in the right state of mind is so important in racing. Like, again, the drivers each lap, you're tenths, hundredths of a second away from each other qualifying list. So you really have to go into it with a clear headset. Like, a lot of things have been said, about, I guess, being the only woman in this series. I feel like sometimes you can let that get to you, but you really have to just focus on yourself and what you're doing and just stay in the zone. I listen to podcasts on the way. I try to get my mind off things. Like, I'll put my AirPods in and listen to my favorite songs right before the race. You just have to do certain things to give you that distraction or mental clarity to just go into it. And again, once I put that helmet on, I feel like everything goes away though, and you kind of just put yourself in the zone. Is that how it is with football too? I guess once you put your helmet on, it's just in the zone. Let's get this done.
Yeah, right in the zone. Yeah.
I'm sure you listen to music too before your games and get in the zone.
A lot of music during the
yes.
The game. So yeah, it's basically the same thing we go through. It's really I think the biggest thing that I got from it was the main thing was like having a reason why. Our coach would always harp on about having a purpose of why you're doing something, and I feel like that can go a long way, especially with a lot of people dealing with mental illness, because it's a real thing. Like, mental health is a real
for
thing.
Sure.
Should be talked about more. So I think just having a reason why you're doing something will go a long way.
100%.
And Peter, talk to me a little bit about what it's like for you to prepare as an owner for a race weekend, and what you now as an owner, do you see your athletes preparing any differently from how you used to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, I use my experience of what I did and what I didn't do to help the drivers. A major part of it is having a positive, mental attitude towards it, and not trying to allow outside, factors hurt you emotionally in any way, and just trying to have them dedicated to focusing on the things that they can control, because everything else is you can't do anything about it. So trying to make sure that they're in the right, positive mindset and been able to execute the areas that they can improve on is how we kind of work with the drivers, because you don't want those distractions from outside the series or within the media. I fully understand what Lindsay was talking about last year. She went through a lot trying to establish herself in the series, and she really stepped up to the plate when she settled in and got a bit stronger. She had some phenomenal performances through the year, and
thank you.
There's a huge credit to her with her mental state and pushing through tough moments. Is all part of racing and part of football. We all have tough times.
Absolutely. And what do you think right now is the biggest thing that is getting in the way of your drivers reaching the top level?
In racing, money is a major factor, but also performance. With how our series work, our scholarships are very top heavy. Regards to only the winner gets the opportunity to move on to the next level, which would be USF 2000, USF Pro 2000, or Indy Next. So you could come up just short in a championship by a point or two, but then you may not have the financial support to make the next step. That can really restrict you. So right now, I think the biggest challenge is is trying to get yourself in a position to make the next step, but also making sure that you're with the right team environment to extract the most out of yourself and your performance.
Absolutely. Lindsay, talk to me a little bit about how having sponsorships like your one with C4 really help you manage the money aspect, and how that's actually helped you become such a successful driver in the series and the only girl to do it.
But yeah, it's definitely money is the most important thing in racing to get to the next level, let's be honest. And I had to stop mid-season last year because we ran out of funding, and then luckily C4 came in and helped me with that. But it really does make a difference when you have a solid sponsorship behind you. Gives you more confidence going into the race. You know, of course, there's crash damage. There's a lot of different things that can happen where money really does make a difference in the career. And so it just gives you a bit more confidence going into the season, knowing you're not going to struggle to find sponsorship. And of course, nothing's permanent, so you're always trying to have a good performance. And, you know, it really does come down to a point or two, and the best of the best, like, number one, will get the sponsorship for the following year. But if you fall short just by a couple points, you're not going to get that scholarship for the next series. So it's really tough. And I am thankful for my social media, because like we talked about, it really does make a difference in today's environment. And so again, it's been a great opportunity for me. And yeah, we definitely improved a lot from the beginning of last year up until now. And I think just using that sponsorship and being able to test and train is very crucial.
Absolutely. And Patrick, talk to me just about how, you know, money didn't really come into the picture, at least on the record. It didn't come into the picture for a lot of college programs until this season. So how much has that kind of played into your recruitment, if it has at all? But how much more so do you think it's going to play into your progress coming up here moving forward, and the progress of college football as a whole?
No, I think for me personally, I don't think it'll have a too big of an effect on my path right now. It's like just being that I only have one more year left. But as far as, you know, the rest of college football, it's going to be, I feel like it's not really a big issue now, but I feel like in the future, it'll probably be a bigger issue, and it'll be a problem that'll probably conclude some kind of rule change. And I only say that because money was never the issue, like this whole time during, you know, the college and recruiting process. Money was never, you know, a thing that was incorporated in it. You know, you really just went to the school, you know, because, you know, you like their program, you know, you like what they have to offer, you know, just on that stuff, you know. But nowadays, money is a thing that can be involved, and it ultimately kind of shape the way certain college programs and college, just how college programs as a whole function. It's gonna take a while, but I feel like at the end, it's gonna, you know, become like flatline, and it won't really be a big issue.
Absolutely. So what are those things that you can control? Because obviously you can't really control who gives you sponsorships. What are those things that you are going to control over these next few months to make sure that, you know, you do potentially get that combine invite?
Right. So the biggest thing right now, I say that one thing I can't control is my time management, and that's just what I do on my time. So that's going to consist of a lot of, you know, extra working out, you know, afterwards, or, you know, maybe meditating, you know, because I do meditate, and, you know, that kind of soothes my mind. And it's just little stuff like that that can go carry you a long ways. Also school too, you know, you have to, you know, always have to maintain a certain, you know, grade point average, you know, in order to play anyway. So, you know, that'll be a thing. So just making sure my mental's right, my physical health is right, and, you know, everything else outside of that is right. Everything could be good. You know, just controlling what I can control and staying in the moment, I think, is the biggest thing to do in the situation.
Right. Controlling what you can control is huge. And I think that one of the people who can speak best to that is Peter. Let's talk a little bit about your historic race. You know, I saw the clips of it earlier today. What's going through your mind when you are last in the pack and you're coming back here to come back and, you know, win the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird race. We ended up actually there's 6 gears in the car, and we had the wrong sixth gear in the car for the race. So when I was running in the pack here behind the guys, I was always stuck at the rev limiter. I could never pass them. But as they kind of spread out, the draft effect for them was less versus than what it had been throughout the race. So then they started falling back to me. At this point, then I thought they were going to crash, but they didn't. So then now I committed a bit more to try to get a run on them. I had my spotter in my ear just telling me, like, you're going to get a run. They're not getting the draft effect from anyone at this point. And actually, when I pulled out here, the shorter sixth gear that had hurt me all race is what actually probably got me across the line in front of the other three guys. So incredible finish. Obviously I put a lot of work into my racing career, and to have such a historic win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was unbelievable.
For sure. So let's talk to Lindsay. What are you going to do to make sure that you could potentially have an incredible moment like that this season?
Train, work out. I'm in the gym 5 days a week, lifting, on the simulator. I think still the physical aspect of these cars is my biggest setback. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm going out testing, I still have to come in a bit early, and it's just hard when, my arm strength just isn't there. But so I'm just going to continue to train, continue to get my mentality right. I think, of course, everyone can work on their mental health. Still sometimes maybe do some meditation. That's a good advice there. So yeah, I think just a lot of testing. I want to do some good quali sims because qualifying was not my best last year. I would have really good race pace in Indianapolis, second quickest race lap. My last race in Portland, I was sixth quickest race lap. So I know I can have the pace during the race. Mm-hmm. I just need to work on my qualifying and getting the most out of the new tires. And yeah, just basically a lot of training and being in the gym, as any athlete knows, is super important.
Yeah, one thing that's underestimated is how physical the Pro 2000 cars are. For all the drivers included, there's been drivers where they've had to pull in midway through some of the oval races even last year because they couldn't make the race. So it's extremely tough, high level. The steering wheel is just so heavy. I've been in a position where I've driven it many times too. So that was most of the time when I'd stopped training at that point, and definitely beat me up quite a bit. So I understand preparation is key for you this year.
100%.
No, that's great. Thank you guys so much for this conversation. I feel like we all learned so much from each other, and obviously learned that all of our journeys maybe aren't that different. Lindsay, we're so excited to see what you do this year on the track. Patrick, we are going to be watching you moving forward. Peter, good luck with your team this season. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we are going to be following you guys coming up out here through the year.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. And now we are actually going to turn things over to our next segment, which is a one-on-one interview with none other than Myles Rowe, last season's vice champion. So excited to have Myles here with us. He was actually discovered by Will Power at age 14. He began his career in karting, but he had to stop when money ran out, which was an issue that nearly cut his last season short. Although he did still finish, he had a series-leading 5 wins, and we are excited to talk to him today about what this 2023 season is going to be like for him. Thank you so much for joining us, Myles.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Hopefully, I can share some positivity and just some insight here. So, yeah, thank you guys.
Right, so let's talk a little bit about just what is a day in the life of Myles Rowe like right now? How is training just, days out from the first race of the series?
Yeah, it's good, I've, been able to find my flow state recently. So it's a lot of just taking pictures with friends, a lot of training. I've been doing more heavy lifting. Last year was a lot more conditioning, but as you guys were talking about earlier, the pro car, it's a little bit harder to drive, so I've been focusing more on heavy training, and that's been going really, really well. And yeah, we did a test a couple of days ago, and it went really well. So training's, going well, and I'm having a good time, being able to relax in the off season a bit and, pick up, my hobbies again with photography and filmmaking, and do that sort of thing as well. So, just finding my balance in the off season, getting ready for the season this year in 2023.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about that. You know, I was going through your social media beforehand, and it looks a little bit different from what you may think this extremely successful USF Series driver's Instagram may look like. So tell me a little bit about your profile, your photography. What films are you making? You know, where does this creative side of Myles come from?
Yeah, like, so filmmaking, it's a good balance for me. Both, you know, industries can have an intensity to them, but in general, racing obviously is very competitive, and you know, you're competing against the best in the world. So a lot of focus with training and just performance there. And with filmmaking and photography, it helps me essentially use a different area of my mind, you know, be more creative, more open-minded, you know, focus more on, you know, idea making. And that helps me balance out, you know, just myself as a person. So I like to share that, you know, and have people see that. I'm passionate about it. So my Instagram's curated to basically be like this. There's more than just racing to me, or there's more than just, you know, filmmaking to me. There's two sides. There's two sides to it. Just like everything, there's a balance. And so I try to, you know, put some color and just some extra energy into my social media. And yeah, I just enjoy the energy. Photographs have right now I'm doing a few short films. Right now I'm a DOP, director of photography. I majored in cinematography at Pace University in New York. So yeah, I think I have a good eye for the lens for whatever someone's vision is. I think I have a good way of depicting that. I love playing with the lighting and color and composition, which is also why I love photography as well. And yeah, like I said, it balances me, and I just love to, you know, show that on social media and articulate that. And I think, you know, the energy, the amount of energy a photograph or film can have, it's the kind of strength that, you know, racing has with the performance and the power and the speed. So yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what college and balancing racing was like at the same time for you.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't have a campus. I live in New York City. Like I said, I went to Pace University, and that's in the financial district of Manhattan. So it was definitely even different than, you know, someone who goes to a normal university. Just coming back to the city, and you know, it was good for me because in the end, the city brings a lot of hustle, a lot of energy of hustle and grinding. You see people, you know, going to work every single day. So every time I came back, it wasn't like, oh, let's party with friends and everything. It was more like, let's hustle, let's grind. It was like, okay, who am I gonna meet up with this week to talk about a photograph or a film? So in the end, it helped me. I really liked it. Like I said, film brings balance to me. So with assignments and everything, obviously it took up some time from training, from working on the sim, just watching film. Like it took a lot of time out of film, you know, just looking at my own video and things like that. So I'm working on assignments instead of looking at my own film. So it took away time, you know, sometimes from you know, perfecting my craft. But in the end, it balanced me. It gave me a major that, like I said, it's something I'm very passionate about, just like with racing. And yeah, I think it benefited me a lot in the end.
If racing doesn't work out, is being a photographer and filmmaker your backup career? Is that your plan?
For sure, that's definitely the career I like to pursue. Even with racing, you know, maybe in the off season, you know, work on different film projects and photography projects. I'd love to be a photographer for a magazine or a clothing brand, or you know, be you know, an assigned DOP to a director or you know, film studio. I'd love to do that in the off season. So I wouldn't call it backup, just, you know, another career that I'm passionate about, and if I had the time for it, I would pursue it.
So, like you said, you are absolutely hustling. How important is that hustle in this series, and how important is it this season with so many new drivers? Even though you're only 23, you are a little bit on the older side. So how much are you doing to make sure that you can still compete with these guys and come out here on the top?
Yeah, you know, that hustle mentality, it's something you really have to have, especially as a racing driver. And like you said, especially in the USF Pro Series now, you're coming against the cream of the crop, and it's going to be like that, you know, in all these series, even USF 2000, USF Juniors, going all the way up these series. These guys are the best from around the world, especially with Formula One being so exclusive nowadays. A lot of drivers from around the world are coming, you know, here to race in the USF Pro Series. So it's a mentality you have to have, and luckily it's just for some reason ingrained in me. My parents, I think I get that from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They work and worked a lot when I was younger and now. And yeah, like I said, New York City, you know, helped install that even more in me. Every time I come back from racing, you know, I'm tired, you know, and I sleep the next day, take a nap and rest, because when I wake up the next day, it's just, you know, all grinding. I'm not, you know, sitting in bed playing video games. Like, I'm on my computer trying to, you know, edit film projects, and then, you know, at the same time go to the gym and everything. So like it's something that you have to have. And yeah, luckily it's ingrained in me, and, you know, I'm blessed to be in the location I'm in with New York City, you know, just basically instilling that in me and inspiring me.
And, you know, you've really seen the fruit of that hustle. You're actually the first black driver to win an Indy sanctioned race. So how different was your journey, and how different was your hustle because of that, and how did it feel to, you know, really make history in the sport?
Yeah, it was a long time coming. It was very difficult, like you said in the beginning. There was about 4 years where I was out of the sport, and it's really hard for athletes to come back into their sport and still be competitive, especially in racing. But, you know, luckily my talent was still there, and yeah, like just being able to come back and, you know, see the fruits of my labor pay off a little bit by being the first black driver to win an IndyCar sanctioned event. It was thrilling, you know, to see a lot of my family was there, which was actually amazing, like cousins, uncles, aunts. So it was a very special race for all of us, just to, you know, see the fruits of our labor, you know, like show a sign of, you know, results. And yeah, it took like I said, it took a lot of hustle, but man, like it paid off, and it's something that drives me every day, because that's not the end. That's not the end goal, you know. I want to be the first black driver to win an IndyCar championship, IndyCar race, and so forth. So yeah, like the hustle never stops, as corny as it is, and yeah, I'm a big believer in that.
How much did your life change after that first win, and what was that feeling like for you?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, even that whole year, it was hard to believe that I was racing again, just because of how long I was out of the car. I mean, I was so close to not believing I was going to drive a car again. And right before I stopped persevering, you know, made something happen. Luckily, I met Will, and he was able to help me with some things, and then I met Rod, and the Force Indy deal came through, and I was back racing. And yeah, like winning that race, like really it helped. It was a mental thing. It helped me mentally believe that, you know, this is we're running again, we're going again. I have talent, I can bring the results, and to just, you know, don't stop pushing, essentially. And that's what I'm here doing, and will do to the end of my career.
And a huge conversation that has been part of today has just been about the money that it takes to race. And, you know, we talked a little bit about the financial struggles for you, like you were just talking about. How much of an impact does that have on you mentally? You know, where was your head at when you're having this incredibly successful season and it can all just kind of stop in the blink of an eye? What runs through your mind when you're lying in bed at night?
Yeah, it can be something that can really, you know, stop you from performing if you focus too much on it. Luckily, I like meditation. I've sort of picked that up over the years, especially with how intense, you know, racing can be. It helps really clear your mind, clear just, you know, almost like how you get out on the track and put the helmet on. You know, you can't do that 24/7. So when I'm not in a car, I try to do that and practice that. So I believe that's helped me a lot with you know, just managing my headspace, especially when I didn't know if I was racing last year. For a little background, I only knew I was racing for the first 3 events of last year's 2022 USF 2000 season. And yeah, it was stressful at times, just knowing that, you know, I could just stop running, especially since I won the first couple races. But, you know, I managed luckily to keep that out of my head for the most part and just focus on, you know, what I had to achieve there and now. You know, the first race, second race, third race, just keeping a straight mindset. And luckily it paid off, and we got our season taken care of in the end with, you know, strong performances, because I could keep a clear head. So it's just about, you know, being just centered with yourself and at the end of the day, believing and persevering, but also just accepting, anything that could happen can happen, and just being okay with that. And so at the end of the day, I was okay if my career ended, and I think that's what pushed me to, just at the end of the day, have fun, drive, and, whatever happens, happen. And luckily, here we are today, still driving with a career and running with Pabst Racing in 2023 for USF Pro.
Right, so your career doesn't end. You are coming back for the 2023 USF Pro 2000. What's your headspace here coming in? Do you feel, are you guaranteed more than 3 races?
Yes,
yeah.
Full season is covered.
That has to feel a lot better, I'm sure,
Yes. So, like I said, with keeping the clear head last year, there was a lot of energy devoted to that. But now I don't have to spend as much energy into that. It's a little bit easier to, have a clear head, keep my thoughts free, and just focus on the training, with the assurance that, I will be able to make it to the end of the year and know how I truly stack up against the rest. And it's just, be able to put your energy, focus your energy more towards performing rather than just, staying clear and staying mentally healthy.
Right, so tell me a little bit about what moments you're most looking forward to this season. Are there any big races that you're looking forward to? Obviously, the first one, St. Pete, super excited about that. But what's really on your radar here, and what are you expecting?
Yeah, like I said, I live in New York City. I love the city. St. Pete, after, running for 2 years, it's a city with the best vibe, in my opinion. The fans there are amazing. It's the first race of the season. By the water, you have the yachts, you have the planes. I'm most excited for that one, especially because, everyone's been, not raced for a little bit, unless they've been racing, in different series overseas or whatever. But for the USF Championships, no one's been racing. So everyone's, excited, coming, with their best shot, fresh from training. Everyone's going to show up there. And like I said, the fans and the environment there is an incredible vibe. So that's my favorite one. But I'm also looking forward to Toronto. Toronto was a really good race for us last year. I love the city. It was my first time in Canada, so I'm really excited to get back there and explore the city more, which is going to be really cool, and just get back on the track in a faster car. But also I'm super stoked for Circuit of the Americas. I love that track. It's going to be super nice, with the extra downforce from the USF Pro car. I love high-speed corners, so really excited to, hit the track there as well.
So tell me a little bit here about, I heard that you said that you love the city, but you also love, boats and yachts. I feel like there's a little bit of a tug of war between warm weather and cold weather here, because there's no way you can love boats and yachts and also love Canada.
There's a little bit of a tug. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I sweat a lot as a person. So I really love fall, because you're not all icky and everything. But also the trees and everything in the fall is nice. I mean, I can't say I love cold weather. We also went when it was warm. I didn't have to wear a jacket in Canada, so I don't know if I like it in the cold. But yeah, you could say I definitely appreciate both kinds of weather for sure.
What's your favorite race that you've done so far? Just location-wise, what's your favorite experience been?
Yeah, I'd say St. Pete. That's my favorite one. I had a really special experience there last year. For some reason the schedule was arranged so that the USF 2000 race was the last race before the IndyCar race, and almost all the time, Indy Next Series is the pre-race before IndyCar. So it was almost like we were the Star Junior Series before the IndyCar race. And luckily, we came through and won that race. And I came back from 6th. I passed 3 people in turn 1 on the start on the outside, which was incredible. So yeah, it was that was a special race for me, because the vibe there was incredible. There was a lot more fans there than there normally are at our races, because it was right before IndyCar. And yeah, even the year before with Force Indy, we had some solid results and solid performances there as well. So yeah, St. Pete's just a real good track for me. And I think, a lot of it has to do with the energy there.
Hey, you've always got to pass the vibe check, and you absolutely passed the vibe check today, Myles. Thank you so much for joining us. It was so nice talking to you, and we will definitely be keeping up with you this season. Good luck as you prepare for St. Pete.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and yeah, we'll be pushing forward, looking forward to get the season started. But yeah, thank you, and yeah, have a good day.
Thank you so much, you too. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an incredible first episode of In the Making. We will actually be here week to week for the next 5 weeks, and then we are going to be joining you in St. Pete's. And please make sure to follow us on USF Pro Championships to make sure that you can follow up on Myles' journey and the rest of the season and all of the drivers who will be competing in this year's series. So we actually need to make sure that we get one thing straight here. When you do go on social media and you follow us, we need name ideas for this guy. We have no idea what to name him. He is no name anonymous right now, Mr. John Doe. So please give us some ideas for what his name should be. I think that it could be something creative. You know, I don't know, but I don't like him watching me right now. So we're going to turn back to this camera and we are going to say sayonara. It was so great having you with us this week. Please make sure to tune in for the next 5 weeks because we will be here giving you the latest updates on USF Pro Championships and talking to the latest drivers and athletes in the making.